Good evening, everyone. Tomorrow night is the beginning of Four of Us Celebrates America. As you're probably wondering, Four of Us Celebrates America is all over as far as all of you are concerned. This show was taped on Wednesday night, preceding Four of Us Celebrates America. Well, let's get on with the show. We won't be coming on live again until Monday, sometime in the first part of September. But it's delightful to be here tonight. The weather's been exceedingly warm, but the news is red hot. Let me tell you something. The Ace of Diamonds is no longer. The Ace of Diamonds is no longer. That was Senate President Bill Bulger, University President Bill Bulger. Bill Bulger has resigned. He's no longer the Ace of Diamonds. He's the King of Diamonds. With the amount of economic help that he's receiving, you can guarantee he is the King of Diamonds. Finally, the state of Massachusetts has rid itself of Bill Bulger. He's now history. September 1st, he'll be leaving as university president. Don't weep for him. His package is real delightful. Believe you me. What a retirement package this man has. Well, as all of you have listened on this particular show, we have been certainly not a supporter of Senate President Bill Bulger, University President Bill Bulger. He has had an enormous effect on this state. Some people particularly think he's done a wonderful job as Senate President, and some have complimented him on his ascendancy to the university leadership. As far as I'm concerned, the university took a U-turn when they appointed Mr. Bulger as the university president. And what kind of a package does this man now have? Bill Bulger, and by the way, it wasn't any surprise. The news today, today is Wednesday, the news came out that the Board of Trustees had met on Wednesday, August 6th, and Mr. Bulger resigned. Well, that sounds all nice and okay and everything's wonderful, but the fact of the matter is this deal was negotiated throughout the entire night on August 5th. Billy Bulger sat down and negotiated his own retirement package. And what kind of a package is it, folks? For some of you who work in this community, some of you who wonder why Gus Suneson's always talking about a pension system, let me tell you what he is going to receive as a farewell kiss. He's going to receive 2 years' salary, and that amounts to almost $700,000. So he'll get 2 years' salary. He'll have accrued benefits of another $154,000, okay, and other assorted gimmicks where he will receive $960,000 as a goodbye kiss. And it is being reported that Mr. Bulger will receive a pension of around $200,000. I sort of disagree with that figure. It is my humble opinion that it'll be in the range of $250,000, the maximum pension allowed in the state of Massachusetts. But it's being reported at $200,000. I say minimum, a maximum of $250,000, and that amounts to about $5,000 a week. So Mr. Bulger, and the scene was it should have been on should be recalled in history. The head of the Board of Trustees was actually crying, Grace Fay. She was in a moment of expiration as the tears were coming down her face as University President Billy Bulger retired. What kind of a scenario is this? The man wouldn't answer the questions before the subcommittee. He refused to tell it like it was, and this has nothing to do with his brother, but when his brother is the most wanted man in this country, outside of Osama bin Laden, number 2 man in the world, I think it's only fair and proper that when 23 people are murdered, that someone talk about it. But Mr. Bulger negotiated a sweetheart deal, courtesy of the Board of Trustees. Now, I don't know how you feel about all of that, but the tears were coming from the chairman of the chairperson of the Board of Trustees, Grace Fay. And let's take a look at the Board of Trustees themselves. There's 30 on the board, and half of them miss at least 20% of the meetings. I repeat, there's 30 members. 15 of them miss at least 20% or more of the meetings. So it appears the Board of Trustees aren't really as, according to the word trustee, if you have a job allegedly as important as a Board of Trustee, it would make sense to most of us, myself included, that at least you would show up and do what you're expected to do, and that is to be a trustee on a university system. So the president of UMass Dartmouth was also very, very shocked at Mr. Bulger retiring, and I swear to goodness they were going to have some sort of a fit as if this was the end of the world. No, this is a new beginning for the university system. This is an opportunity to get the politics as usual out of the University of Massachusetts system. Mr. Bulger was a very powerful individual, let me assure you. Mr. Romney suggested early in his inauguration speech, early in his term as governor of the state of Massachusetts, that Mr. Bulger should step down. That was the suggestion of Governor Romney. And I'll never forget what took place at the annual St. Patrick's Day affair in Boston. That's where all of the politicians get together and have an old-fashioned laugh-in. And who showed up but our own Senator John Kerry, who's now running for president. And at that particular love-in, and the humor is quite great, it's beautiful to see these politicians at least have a sense of humor. They sat down and did themselves a fine opportunity to share the laughter, and they did. At that particular breakfast, John Kerry, Senator Kerry, hopeful he wants to be president of the United States, this is what he said. He said he's putting his money, get this one, he's putting his money on Billy Bulger, meaning that Billy Bulger will outlast Governor Romney. Well, I don't know if he's putting his own money in there or his wife's money, I don't know. But what he did, he's wrong. Governor Romney won a big one here. The Board of Trustees accepted the resignation, they had nowhere else to go, of Bill Bulger. So Bill Bulger is no longer the ace of diamonds, but with that retirement package of $250,000 a year, a goodbye kiss of $1 million, I repeat, almost $1,950,000 is a goodbye gift, and his annual pension of $250,000, how can anybody feel sorry for Mr. Bulger? I certainly don't. I wish him well in his new lifestyle, but I'm wondering if these little sweetheart packages, if you ever had such a package, or ever heard such a package like this. But I know that the Board of Trustees is in a state of shock. I know our own, one of our own Board of Trustees from the area mentioned that he hoped that Bill Bulger would return to the university and visit them as often as possible. And that happened to be one of the Board of Trustees from the radio station made that comment today, and I'm sure that Mr. Bulger will be have a nice retirement and certainly won't be visiting this neck of the woods. So that's what happened today, and hope all of you had a wonderful Four of Us Celebrates America weekend. I know that the community was looking forward to it, but before we go any further, let's get on with our guest this evening. A guest who is one of four of his most popular guys, a successful businessman, an elected official for over 10 years, a man who certainly would never turn away from anyone. I consider him to be a friend of mine, a friend of this community, an outspoken individual. We've had the opportunity over the years to go back and forth, and tonight I want to welcome City Council Vice President Al Alves.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And it's been a long time since I've been here, but nevertheless, here I am to answer your questions.
Well, thank you for coming, Al, and certainly this is an election year.
Yes.
The race is starting to heat up, and today it seemed that you hit the headlines with a recommendation that most people, I'm sure, would agree with. I've had my second thoughts on it, but what you're suggesting is, and I guess you took aim at City Council candidate Paul Viveras, city mayoralty candidate, Paul Viveras. He's running for both offices. It's legal in the city to do that, and you are suggesting to the people of Florida after the election,
Right.
you'll set in a set of maneuvers to outlaw this type of behavior.
Well,
why is it such a bad deal?
First of all, for me, as I look at the process, I think it's a very bad deal. First of all, I don't think that the Board of Elections should have allowed this to happen, even if they thought, even if the Secretary of State would say, well, we think the charter doesn't say anything, and therefore it's okay, go right ahead. They should have fought it. They should have gone to the courts for several reasons. First of all, it makes a mockery out of the democratic process. It makes a mockery out of and an insult to the voters. It tells the voters, look, I'm going to run for all three local elections, whether it's going to be the school committee, city council, and mayor. I have the right to run. Whatever you guys like me, you'll put me there. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think a candidate should have, he or she should dedicate 100% of his or herself ability to run for office, to dedicate themselves to that office, and to serve for that office. I hate the process. I don't like anyone that puts their name in a ballot simply to see how many votes they're going to get.
Well,
That's not why the democratic process was invented. It was invented to give us, the citizens of Fall River, an opportunity to serve the community. And it's an honor and a privilege to do that, to be elected by your fellow citizens of your community, to represent them, to serve them. We shouldn't make a joke of the process. And we know Mr. Viveras. I know Mr. Viveras very well. I even consider himself a good friend. He's come to all my political events and all my functions and all of that. And, but I disagree with him wholeheartedly on this issue.
well, let me give you a scenario.
Yeah.
You're a city councilor. You're a
Right.
pretty popular guy. You know, okay, I think you are. Pretty popular in the community.
I've done well.
Yes, you
Let's
have.
be put this
I
way.
think most people will agree with that. What's wrong with saying, look, it's very difficult to move up from city councilor to mayor? Why not give an opportunity to possibly 2, maybe even up to 4 city councilors who have an eye on possibly running the city? If they were to be beat, what I mean by that, come in third in the primary, at least they could fall back and run for city council. This would, in my opinion, now I thought about this, give an opportunity to make the mayor's race a little bit more exciting, okay? Also give an opportunity to a city councilor who may or may not have been effective as a city councilor, say to himself, look, I gave a shot at running for mayor, but I still like to be city councilor, and this would give the citizens an opportunity to either retain him or not. Leave it up to the public. What's wrong with that?
Let me tell you something. Anybody can run for mayor. Anybody has the right to run for mayor.
Right.
Anybody has the opportunity to run for mayor. The mayor's race becomes exciting when any individual who decides to run for mayor presents himself to the voters with a program, with a solution to problems in the city, with a blueprint of what he or she wants to do for the city of Fall River. And that's what makes it exciting.
Well,
a person who runs for mayor to get a job or to get a salary, or simply because he wants to be in politics or puts his name in there just for the heck of it, it's wrong. A person who runs for mayor simply because he has a political vendetta, because he can get a license for his restaurant to have nude dancing, it's wrong. That's not what the process is for. The process is there for any individual to serve his community, to dedicate themselves to serving the community, to come up with the process. If I were to decide to run for mayor,
Right.
I would not do it until I would be convinced that I had a valid program to present to the citizens of Fall River, and they would make the decision whether they wanted my program, they wanted my leadership, or they didn't want it.
Well,
Not for the fact that I have a vendetta against someone, or because I want a license for this or a license for that. That's why I don't think it's right, proper, or even democratic I think it's unconstitutional based upon the Constitution of Massachusetts, and I'm checking that out. Okay.
Well, no,
I think
let's take Paul Viveris out of the picture, Al.
Right.
Okay, let's take him out of the picture. I think we're jumping to a conclusion because it's Paul Viveris, it's a bad idea.
No.
Let's take a look
It's a bad idea for anyone.
Let's go look at it this way. Let's look at the last election.
Right.
Bill Whitty ran
Right.
against the mayor.
That's right.
Okay, he ran against a very popular mayor. Bill Whitty was a popular city councilor. He was the city council president. He ran against the mayor. He was defeated quite handily, about 55% of the vote, a big vote. But meanwhile, Bill Whitty had to leave the city council. And let's be frank. To run for mayor, it takes an awful lot of money, okay? And how do you run for mayor?
It's not a question of money.
Oh, yes, it is,
I
Al.
think it's a question of presenting yourself
How
to
do
the
you
voter
present yourself?
with a program.
How do you make that program?
You present yourself to the voters and you tell the voters of Fall River, look, citizens of Fall River, here's what I want to do, here's what I'm going to do if you elect me.
How do you get the message out, Al?
You get the message out. There's programs like this. You
Well,
get
this
the
is
message
brand
out.
new. This is brand new, Al.
You get the message out. Obviously.
No, you got radio.
You got radio, you got newspapers,
Yeah,
you do functions, you go to senior citizens events, you go to the high rises, you go everywhere where there is people, and you put your message up there. If your message is good, if your message is positive, the citizens of Fall River will judge it for you.
So what's wrong with the message
I don't
as
think,
mayor,
I
and
don't
what's
think,
wrong
Gus,
with the message as a
Gus,
city
you've been
councilor?
in politics.
Yes,
and
I have.
You know that 50 ads in the Herald News
Right.
is not going to elect you.
Oh, I sort of have to disagree with you. Ron. It helps.
1,000 signs in the corners is not going to elect you. It's going to.
It helps.
Of course it does. It gives name recognition, but does not elect you. Who you are, how you present yourself, what are you going to do for the city is what's going to elect you.
Al, I appreciate your simplicity in mentioning how to win a mayor's race.
No,
But
no,
let's
not
be
just a
real
mayor's
tonight.
race,
Let's be
any
real
race.
tonight. The fact is, if we look at the campaign finance reports, I'm sure that of the let me finish. Of the 9 city councilors and/or the mayor, the man who runs for mayor or the woman who runs for mayor has the most money will usually win, and 9 of the city councilors who have spent the most money, at least 9 of them will be in the top 11. So it takes money to run a campaign, because when we talk about getting the message out, there is an avenue to do that.
There is no question, Gus, and I'm not saying that it is not necessary to have money or to raise funds to run a campaign, whether it's for mayor, city council, or school committee.
Right.
That is no question about it. But the amount that you spend, that does not mean that you're going to be elected. I have that experience.
There's no doubt about it.
You know what I mean?
But you know what?
So,
listen, let's take a look at history. Lyndon Baines Johnson ran as vice president under JFK, and he also ran as for senator of Texas. Joe Lieberman ran as vice presidential candidate, and he ran as senator from Connecticut. If push came to shove, people would be like yourself. They would say, hey, wait a minute, Mr. Joe Lieberman. You're running for vice president of the United States, but also you want to run for Senate. I didn't see any big outcry about that.
But
what difference is it? But why is Joe Lieberman different than Paul Viveris?
Very different. Joe Lieberman was a United States Senator for many years. He was a credible candidate for Vice President of the United States on a political ticket. It is a completely different
They both
story.
ran, had 2 votes.
No, I'm talking about...
If you were in Connecticut, you voted for Lieberman for Senate and Lieberman for Vice President. So
Yes.
what's wrong with...
Only in the state of Connecticut.
And in Texas. And in other places.
No, you couldn't vote for Lieberman for Senate
I agree
of
with
Connecticut
you.
in Texas.
No, I agree with you there.
So.
But if he lived in Texas, it would have been Lyndon Baines Johnson was elected senator. And I'm sure that it goes on and on and on. So what have we got to lose with an opportunity for somebody to
It makes, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I'm probably totally wrong. I would hope when the election is over, and if the citizens of Fall River re-elect me again to the city council, and I will do everything that I possibly can if I have the support of my colleagues to make sure that we have an amendment to the charter, whether to a home rule petition if it's necessary, or if we can do it through an ordinance in the city, if that's the other way to go, that no one in the city of Fall River would ever have the opportunity to run for more than one office at one time. I think it's wrong. I think it perverts the system.
Well, I don't think
because,
it perverts it.
I think it's an outrage.
Well, it's illegal.
Well, it is legal now. Apparently, I want to make it illegal.
Well,
I don't think...
It would give an opportunity for someone on the city council, if they wished, and thought a possibility of entering and taking on the number one man, which would be the mayor. Okay?
Anybody in the city council, if he or she has a valid program, has a valid, comes up with a valid alternative, present this to the citizens of Fall River, and the citizens of Fall River would decide whether or not they want that person to be the chief executive, the mayor of our city. That is the democratic process. That's what has happened for 200 years in the city of Fall River. We are celebrating our bicentennial. That is the American process. That's the way it should be. When someone comes in and says, look, folks, I want to run for everything. Whatever it hits, I'm going to get it. It's like gambling. It's like gambling. You're against gambling.
No, I'm not against gambling. I'm against the casino. Now, let me ask you, if that were the case, it sometimes happens, it happens quite often in our community, we have a representative. Now, his election will be next year, but a representative who's elected in that particular district, whether it be Bob Carrere, who ran for mayor, okay?
Oh, there's a good example of what I just said.
He can retain his representative seat.
Right.
He won't lose anything.
But that's a state office, not a city office.
He's running for both seats, one at a different time.
He has a state office.
Why penalize an elected official who says, look, I don't know if I can do it. I want the citizens to send a message that I cannot be elected as a mayor, but they sort of like me on a city council. What's wrong with that?
I think it's wrong.
Okay. So in other words, when will you introduce this resolution?
I would do it immediately after the election if I'm reelected. I would, obviously, my colleagues would have to support it. I don't know how they feel. I've talked to a few of them.
What is the scuttlebutt?
The what?
What is the feeling of the 2 or 3 people you talk to?
Well, the feeling is that I'm correct.
Yeah, initially, I think most people, initially when I read the article, Al, I said, Al's right. But the more I thought about it, the more I can see that it does have some advantages. And the advantages are simple. That first of all, it makes the mayor's race a little bit more interesting, usually, because let's face it, very infrequently do we have a tested mayor's race.
Gus, let me tell you one thing. We need candidates.
We don't have any.
Okay. But we need candidates in our city.
Right.
That are people who are interested in serving the community.
Right.
Are interested in being elected. Mm-hmm. We don't need candidates who are interested in putting their name on the ballot to see how popular they are.
Let's take Paul Revere out of the picture. Let's take him out. Let's take him off the package. Let's put somebody else in there.
Let's put
Joe Camara in there, say. Let's say that Joe Camara wanted to run for mayor next time.
He has every right to do it.
But then he wants to run for city council too. He wants to take an attempt.
He has to choose what office he or she wishes to.
The people make the decision.
No. The people will make a decision whether they want a particular person to the city council or to the mayor's office. If that person concentrates in that job, if that person he or she presents himself to get that job, and the voters of Fall River will present. The citizens of Fall River, to my knowledge, to my judgment, to my idea, do not want a candidate who says, look, citizens of Fall River, I'm going to run for everything. Well, whatever you think that I should get, I'll get.
Well, then they would vote him out.
No.
Then it's up to them. What you're saying is they don't want to hear it and get rid of both jobs. No. Now, let's move on, Al.
Let's move on.
Okay.
There's so many issues. That's fine.
Now, let's take a look at this year's budget.
Yes.
Now, no one knows what their tax bill is going to be. We're under revaluation. The property owner, the people who rent. Now, wait a minute. The bills haven't gone out. What we have received is a false tax bill. What I mean by that, a false tax bill. What the false tax bill says, ooh, we're sending you last year's tax bill. And so when you open it up, you say to yourself, I thought we had problems in Fall River. I thought there was no money coming in. I thought we were talking about raising the taxes, but my tax bill is the same as last year.
Let me tell you something.
Why?
Let me tell you something. We had a terrible tragedy to our city when the state cut funding to our city in the middle of the fiscal year. That was a disaster.
How much did they cut?
I think about $8 to $10 million, something to that
the
effect.
state's $3 billion short.
Okay. Well,
What do you wanna do?
I'm not saying. Listen.
I mean, it's
you,
like
you
saying-
ask me a question.
Okay.
I understand.
Let's not play the
Okay.
blame game
All
tonight.
right.
Let's not play the blame game.
The state cut all the cuts that we have
Yeah.
come up to about $16 million of our budget. Right now, we have from the state
Right.
approximately 50% of our budget. It used to be like
I don't know
64.
more than that. They pay the whole school department system.
Well, that's another story. But I'm talking about what comes in the cherry sheets dumped to the city.
Well, they pay the whole school,
Okay.
almost the whole school
So
system.
we had to do the best we could possibly can to bridge that gap.
Right.
We cut services,
Yeah.
we cut firemen, we cut...
I didn't see any firemen with some retirements.
Well, some retired, but we didn't replace them. Okay? That's almost the same thing as not having the guy there doing the job.
Okay.
So, okay? We cannot anymore do this because the city would be, in my judgment, in jeopardy. We need a fire department that complies with all the public safety that we need for our
Right.
city. The same thing happened in the police department.
Okay.
We cut about 150 people altogether in City Hall. A lot of retirements.
I
yes.
didn't see the 150
Well,
people, Al.
well, if you go through-
I saw Pat Riches get the can. I thought one of the most
Well,
popular
that-
people
I'm
in the
not-
city.
okay.
Pat was the only, and a few others, but most of them were retirements.
We cut all the departments were cut, and so forth and so on, and we bridged the gap of $16 million by raising the local taxes 8%.
Okay.
Okay,
But that's 8% is really baloney, and you know it.
No, it's not baloney.
That's
8% is 8%.
Okay. In other words, if my tax bill is $1,000, I'm going to get an 8% tax.
If we raised 8%, comes up to $125 per average household, $2.25 a week.
That's with ifs.
No, that's what it
with
is.
ifs. If we
Without
just-
the revaluation. Without the revaluation.
Okay. That, in other words,
If the
Yeah,
revaluation is included,
if.
we don't know what the state's
this
going to
is
do.
after the election, it's if.
No, it's not after the
That's
election.
what the problem is, Al. We're talking ifs after the election.
Okay. With the revaluation comes up to $336 average.
So that's not 8%.
That obviously it's not.
So why are people under the impression it's going to be 8%? We got the tax.
Because 8% is what the city was going to do.
If.
If the state,
But they would, that's like going to the grocer and say, look, I got $100 worth of groceries.
If you were a
but I
city
got a
council,
check there.
what would you do with that budget?
I want to give you a check if the money is in the bank. Don't cash it. No, this if don't work with me.
what would you do?
Okay.
If
As a
you have
city-
the state cutting that much out of the city
I'll
budget,
tell you the first thing I would do, I would get the word if out of my vocabulary because it sounds good. It's an election ploy, Al. Because the revaluation should have taken place. The people should have known what their property values are.
the revaluation is a state mandate.
No.
It is
city
done
does
by
it
the state.
every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
Why isn't it done on time?
It's always done on time.
If it's done on
It
time,
was that,
if it was done on time, we would have had our tax bills the way they're supposed to be.
No, you always get your tax bills the way
Yeah,
it's
but
supposed
it's
to
with
be.
the revaluation,
We are
we-
trying, look, we've always tried in this city to put the burden of the tax increase on the business community
Right.
rather than the homeowners.
Right.
You know that.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
Yeah.
And this is no different than what we have always done.
But this is a phony tax bill, Al.
Okay.
And I
You think it's phony? I don't think it's phony. When it comes to my door, I got to pay.
No, in all fairness, nothing personal. This is when they had the budget process, this was an incumbent protection budget because it was ifs. If this were to happen, and if this were to happen, and if the property, so that when
If the state wouldn't have to
the
cut
state
as much.
is $3 billion already.
Let me tell you something. The state legislature
Yeah.
of Massachusetts made a deficit
Yeah,
of $3 billion
yeah,
and passed it on,
Right.
give the C9 article
Right.
to giving the powers to the governor to fix the problem.
Right.
Knowing full well that what the governor was going to do, which they failed to do because
Right.
they didn't want to do any cuts, because the treasurer of the Massachusetts treasurer was running for office, for governor. The Senate president was running for office, and they didn't want to do it. 87% of the House and the Senate are controlled by the Democrats.
Right.
So they have full control of everything.
Right.
So they passed it on to the Republican governor. Says, Mr. Governor, is C9 authority for
Right.
you to do whatever you want.
Right.
Knowing full well that what he was going to do was cut what the state allocates
Well, what would you
to
do if you were the governor? Would you do the same thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Or would you raise taxes?
No, because he promised not to raise
So
taxes.
if you can't raise taxes on...
What he did was, for example, got rid of 800 lawyers. That was on the beginning of the program. You explained exactly what's wrong with politics in Massachusetts, because here you have a guy who was making $400,000 a year. Now the governor wanted to reform the University of Massachusetts. Cut here, cut there, get rid of this, get rid of that. Okay? And he gets a sweetheart deal that's given by a board. It's going to be approved by the legislature if it needs to be, with $1 million to retire.
Plus the $250,000 a year retirement.
Okay, that's what's wrong with the state politics.
Well, what I say is
but
that...
unfortunately, let me just finish this. Unfortunately, cities like Fall River that depend 60%, 65% of its budget, because we are a poor city.
I don't want to hear about the poor city anymore.
We are.
We say that around election time, but the fact is we're a rich community.
Well, you invite me out of the election, and I'll say the same thing.
We're not a poor city?
Yes, we are.
We are a poor city.
We are a poor city.
So in other words,
let me give you a reason why I say that. If you go to the Office of Economic Development, there's
Right.
an after-the little study
Right.
on the demographics of the city of Fall
Right.
River. And you know exactly what's happening to our city. Over 50% of our city is in subsidized income. 50%
Right.
of our city, it's 51 something.
Well, we're all senior citizens.
Well, that's besides the point, but 50% of our city is in subsidized income.
Right.
60% of our city doesn't have an high school diploma.
Right.
I don't think that's a very rich city.
Well-
There's nothing wrong with saying that, because that is the truth. And you want politicians to be honest and open and tell the truth. That's exactly what I'm doing here.
I think most people would appreciate you saying that. And as you say that, say, your tax bill is not going to be realistically, as you think it is, an 8% increase. It's going to be about 30%.
We don't know that.
Well,
We don't know that if it's
you
going to
don't
be.
want to find out about it because...
Well, you do.
No, I'll
Of course
tell
you
what
want to
don't
find out, because we don't know that.
Because what you want to do is the property values are going to go up. The property owner is going to get the tax bill. He's going to pass it on to the people who rent. So it's not 8%. It's a bunch of baloney, Al.
Okay.
Okay? Am I right or wrong? You agree with me? Why couldn't you tell
You're
me?
in the borderline.
Why couldn't our elected officials say, look, we're in a bind this year. It's not 8%. It's going to be in the 25%, 30% tax increase. Why? And then we raise the fees and fines out. So in other words, this election year is going to be one of turmoil.
The city of Fall River had to bridge the gap of $16 million. And we had to do what we
Well,
thought...
wait a minute. How could the gap be 60 million?
16.
16 million. Okay. So $16 million.
Right.
And then we take money out of the rainy day account.
Right.
Okay.
Which we cannot do that much, because we need a cushion in order that our bond rating will not be junk bonds.
Well,
At least we have some credit in the bank.
Well, all I know
Yeah.
is we don't seem to be winning any law cases, Al. We seem to be losing. Mr. Viveras is running for mayor, and then he's also going to
So
get
in the
a nice
city
check,
council.
and a nice check in the mail for the government. He has won a lawsuit against this community, okay? And why?
That is something that I
against the city
disagree
council.
with.
Against the
Yeah.
city council.
Yes.
He won it against you guys.
No, he didn't win anything against us.
Well,
Not yet.
Well,
Not
who did he
yet.
win it against?
Well, he sued the city,
Yeah.
but he also sued the city council. He dropped one of the suits. Now he has another one. So whatever that is,
So
I
in
don't
other
know.
words, he's running for mayor.
and he's
How
suing
much
the
would-
city,
and how-
and running for city council,
And running for city council.
and suing the city.
And so in the city, I think most people would agree with you that it's
And
a
you
mockery.
think- of course it's a mockery.
But the idea of taking
is so.
Viveris out of the picture, it's not, it's an opportunity for someone other than Viveris to do what he's doing. And I agree
Let's
with you,
not
it
go
is a
back to the
mockery.
first. Okay.
But the fact is, why close an opportunity that's available to everybody, including Mr. Viveris? So we have a law department that doesn't seem to be winning any cases out. Why?
I don't know, you have to ask them. I'm not in the law department. I have not, I'm not a lawyer. I have nothing to do with the law department other than be a city council when there is some allocations of money or anything like that. I think that we are fighting the BFI, for example. I have my opinion on the BFI issue.
What is your opinion?
My opinion is that we should sit down with them and get an alternative.
What is it, would be
An alternative will be for them to pay for it and build an incinerator where they want to build a dump. We should never allow them to expand that dump. And because we cannot win in court, like you said, we're losing, okay.
We're gonna lose the BFI deal.
Well, we're
You're
going to
tell-
lose. No
we're gonna
question
lose.
of it. We're going to
So
lose.
why- let me ask
We should, that's the reason I believe, and I said this publicly in the city council floor. I said that on the media. I'm saying it over here, and I'll say it everywhere. I disagree the way we are
Yeah, but-
doing this.
okay.
I agree, and I voted for it,
Well,
that we should fight,
But you
we
can't-
should
you can't have
prevent
a
them.
vote. You can't say,
No.
I'm voting this way, but I think I'm going to lose.
Listen,
Why?
I believe that we are doing everything we can to prevent them from expanding the dump, from building what they call a mini dump on the borders of our water supply. However, I also believe that the only way to fight them, to prevent them from doing that, is to sit down with them and come up with an alternative, whether it's
You've already shot it-
incineration,
you've already shot it.
compact, or whatever.
You've already shot a cannon at them. You tell them to close it up. Now you want to negotiate. What kind of a message are you sending to people tonight?
Well, I'm not sending any message to anyone.
BFI
I am not in position of power to negotiate with BFI. I'm not negotiating with BFI. I want you to know that, and I want the audience to know that. What I'm saying is there should be an alternative to prevent them from building a mini dump near our water supply. Our water supply is very important.
I don't think anybody can disagree with there, Al. The fact
That's
is,
my position.
when the initial contract was there, it was all laid out. BFI had
Wow.
all the ammunition. They had a battery of attorneys that were
When
evidently
you're
second
talking
to
about when
none.
they bought the landfill?
When the airport was closed,
I wasn't there.
You were on the following year. That's right. But now, you weren't there.
That
for the-
was the 2 years that I was
That's right,
out.
absolutely correct. Now, so in your by the way, I enjoyed you on television when you said, I'm not hopeful on this budget. You said you're not hopeful that the state is going to meet its obligation. Did
That's
you
right.
not say that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I still believe
Well,
that.
if you're not hopeful, and if you're not hopeful, I'm sure the other members of the city council aren't hopeful. So why, at that moment in history, okay, at that moment, before you passed the budget, why didn't someone stand up and say, look, this is a phony budget?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is a phony budget.
What is a budget? Let's go. A budget is a living document
Yeah.
that you change constantly.
Yeah. Well, that,
So
and
this
we know we're
budget,
gonna change this
if
one.
I vote for this budget,
we know we're going to change this one.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
We know we're going to change
if
this
I vote for this budget for $182 million,
Yeah.
I know, you know, and everybody knows, that's not going to be the budget at the end of the year.
Yeah, and we don't know that the 8% tax increase is going to be a little bit more than 8%, right or
It
wrong?
cannot, because you only have 2.5, and then we already
much-
ran out
how much
the
in-
cap that we had.
Right. How much?
So,
Let's be honest tonight. 8%.
I'm being,
okay.
I'm
I know, you're
being
let's,
very open,
Okay.
very honest with
all right,
everybody.
let's try to give a figure out tonight.
I can't.
We're in election year. Let's try to tell the people tonight. The city council at that time said 8%.
Right.
The mayor said 8%. Realistically, how much is the tax increase going to be?
I don't know.
Realistically,
I don't know.
Take a guess. Come on.
I cannot take a guess, because I voted for a budget that had an 8% tax increase.
Right.
And that's the living document that is there, and it will
It's
change.
dying on the vein now. Because the money's not coming from the state. You said it.
The money is not coming from the state.
So where are we gonna
we're
get the
going to
money?
get, on that budget, we're going to get 54% of that budget is going to come from the state.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
The
How much we
$82
come
million is going to come from the state for
How
the
much are
education.
we short dollar-wise? Right now?
I believe right now we are not short of money. Right
I'm not
now.
talking right now. I'm
Well,
talking for the
well,
budget
is that
for
what
next
you
year.
said? We're not short of money right now.
Well,
I think we can live within that budget, and that budget was prepared for us to live within that budget.
We've
As
had-
far as I understand it, there might be problems in the middle of the year if the state continues to cut.
well, there's no more money out. There's $3 billion
But
behind.
if the state continues to cut, then we would have a
Well,
problem.
at 8%, as you see it right now, the people looked at the tax bill and said, oh, not bad, 8%. But it's not going to be 8%, right, Al?
We don't know.
It's
I
not going to
cannot-
be. It's not. Well, I mean, come on. Tonight's the night.
I had never believed, let me tell you something,
All right.
to be honest with you.
Okay.
I never believed that the state would cut funding to the cities and towns in the middle of a fiscal year.
Okay.
It
Well, there's
boggles my
you
mind
can't
when
write a
they
bum
did
check.
that.
Either They don't have to, because they could have wrote you a bum check. But there's no more money out in the state.
Well,
They got $3 billion.
I've been hearing
so
you saying
it's
that for
8%.
years.
I know.
No more money.
Well, there
no
is
more money.
Well, you just said we're going to get 8% tax increase.
Yeah.
You thought.
That's what
And
we
you said-
voted for.
You said you wasn't, and I remember watching. I thought it was beautiful what you said. But I'm not too. How did you put it?
I am not too keen on this.
In other words, he said,
I mean-
I'm not too keen, which meant to me, I got the message out that this was a phony baloney budget. That's my message I got.
no, it was
You
not,
at least
no.
were, at least you had the, you weren't too keen on it. You sent the message to me. I was listening. Thank you, Al, for telling it like it is. Because after the election,
I thought, I even explained about the Senate and the House was fighting, I didn't pass.
Yeah.
They were going to pass on the tax factor, higher tax factor to the business
Right.
community and so forth. However, we don't know what's going to happen in the next budget.
yeah. Well, you know, we all know it's not going to be 8%. Now, what about the fines and the fees? What's the story there?
The fines and the fees is that for too many years, in some cases, the city of Fall River had fees that had not raised for 20 years. You know that. There were some fees that needed to be raised.
If you think I'm going
And
to say, oh, it's a good idea to
fees-
raise the fees, I'm not.
No, I'm not saying that is a good idea.
Okay, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that we are still competitive with other communities
Right.
and all the fees that we have,
Okay.
especially for constructions and the
Right.
other things. And we need to get revenues. You said it is no more money. How does a community, a city like Fall River, gets revenues? It readjusts.
No, it taxes.
Well,
I want to use the word that nobody wants to talk about. Taxes. Now, why?
I'm not afraid to talk about
Well,
taxes.
you only said 8%.
Yes, that's
But
what
it's
I
not
voted for.
8%, Al.
Well,
I
okay.
would today, Al, I would reach over you, I would hug you, I would say the mayor's doing a fantastic job. 8% of this economy, you guys should be.
And it was a great
It was a
budget.
beautiful
It is a
budget.
beautiful
But
budget.
It's a phony budget.
It is not a phony budget. It's your opinion.
That's okay, Al. That's okay. I understand.
All
where
right,
you're
let's
coming-
go to other issues.
All right,
Don't you
well,
have other issues
yes,
up
I
there?
do.
Okay.
I want to call on you, because we've always had a lot of fun over the years.
All right.
And I've always said it, and I mean it sincerely. I look at the city council, as far as I'm concerned, I thought you have always been probably one of the most intelligent guys on the
Oh,
city
thank
council.
you,
I
thank
mean
you,
that
thank you.
sincerely. Okay, now let me go about, maybe you can bring your expertise in. Florida is the recipient of a wonderful gift from Ponta de Gata.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Tell me, I'm not familiar with Ponta de Gata. Why don't you tell the folks in Florida,
Well-
how big is Ponta de Gata? Tell us about the gift.
I think half of Fall River knows that.
Well, I don't know it. I don't
Okay, I'll tell the other half.
All right.
Well, Ponta Delgada is the largest city in the archipelago in the Azores.
Right.
It has approximately a population of 60,000 people,
Right.
but during the day, it exceeds over 100,000.
Okay.
Because it is what people come out of from the villages and towns to work.
Okay.
It has a lot of tourism. Right now they're building 11 new hotels. They have a Holiday Inn, they have a Comfort Inn, and Americans are there in full speed. And most of those investments come through Fall River and New Bedford and Taunton, because here you have a very large community of Azorean Americans. The Azoreans are Portuguese people who come from the Azores. When we were in Ponta Delgada, in the center of the city,
Right.
there is a monument there,
Right.
which is the 3 archways, which was left over as the gates of the city.
Okay.
The city had walls. It was the city celebrated, I think, 526 years or something like that
Okay.
a few weeks ago. And they kept that.
Right.
They moved, in fact, the gates into the middle of the plaza.
Right.
And it's a very beautiful monument. And the mayor said, what wonderful thing. Mayor Lambert was with me, and
You went over with the
I was over with the mayor. And he says, what a wonderful thing this will be for the waterfront in Fall River. It would be a monument, and so forth and so on. Last year, we had the Sister City Committee that was established 25 years ago by
Right.
Carlton Viveris.
Right.
I'm the chairman, co-chairman, I'm sorry,
I didn't know
co-chairman with Frank Cabral.
Okay.
And we have a lot of programs.
Okay.
For example, I'm doing a program right now for parks for the kids to play.
Right.
There is a foundation in the United States that is donating money
Okay.
to build things for children in
Right.
the schools up there and so
Right.
forth. And we have an exchange program between
Okay.
Ponta Delgada. Last year, the mayor of Ponta Delgada
Mm-hmm.
was here.
Right.
And the mayor asked her, it's a lady, her name is Britta Cabral, and if Ponta Delgada would donate the gates to Fall River.
Right.
You know, and then obviously we here, the community, will raise
Right.
funds
Yep.
and will pay to put it up, but not taxpayers' money.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not worried. I think it's a wonderful idea.
There's no
but
money in the budget for
I'm
that.
still waiting for the Iwo Jima Memorial.
Which is, it should be coming up.
Well,
yes,
that's
another thing.
That's the guy that sues the city.
Yes.
And he sues the city, then he gives us Iwo Jima. I know when you give somebody something, maybe you should help put it up with your own money.
Well,
I mean,
that's what she's doing.
I'm not
from
talking about Ms.
Ponta
Cabral. I'm talking about the guy that
Yeah,
gave
but
us
that's
the Iwo
another
Jima
story.
Memorial. Okay.
And we were, in October this year, we're going to receive the entire gates, the
Right.
stone, all cut up
Are
to
the
put it up.
craftsmen going to be from Florida to put it up, or what?
There is companies, construction companies here from the WAP, Portuguese Americans,
Okay.
from the old country
Okay,
that know
that's
how to do
wonderful,
this.
And when would there be anticipated opening of the gates?
We would hope, this is
Right.
question mark, you know. We would hope that Fall River Celebrates America next year
Okay.
would be the proper thing to do.
Okay. Well,
You
that's
know,
wonderful.
if it's possible.
That's wonderful.
It's a question that the community will raise the money. That's already begun, and we are trying to see
Now,
if
where
we
would
can do
the,
that.
I'm a little confused, where is the location for the gate? Where will it be put?
That would be on a piece of land that is owned by the city on Crack Pond, right next to the Marine Museum. There's a
Okay.
big field there.
Right across the street, like,
Exactly.
Okay.
On Ponta Delgada
is that
Boulevard.
border Remington property, or is that?
No. This is Fall River property. This
Okay.
is land
All
that
right.
is owned by Fall
No,
River.
That's
Yeah.
good. So we're looking forward to that. Now, a lot of people don't realize this. Al had your business for years, the TA
Yes,
restaurant.
I had the
How
TA.
many years were you there?
22 years.
And I guess news is not, you know.
No, I
you
sold the business to my manager, a
Right.
young guy that went to work for me when he was 14
Right?
as a busboy.
No kidding.
And he grew in the business. He came here to BCC
Right.
to learn business management.
Okay.
He graduated from BCC and is the proud owner with his uncle
Right?
of the new owners of TA.
Right.
I'm there helping them out. I'm
You know,
going
you
to
look
help
so
them
much
out.
more relaxed. I tell you, since you sold the business, he looks about 10 years younger.
I have a beautiful
mean,
suntan. See that?
it's wonderful to see you relax a little bit because you were working hard.
I
It's
worked
a beautiful
very
restaurant,
yes,
TA restaurant.
yes. It
I
is
think-
very popular. It is doing very well. They're doing a very good job, and I'm very proud of what I did to pass it on to another young person, and he will do a good job.
Well, I think the people of Fall River are very grateful that the TA restaurant was open because was that part of the old Capitol building?
Yes. We were, that was Capital Drugs,
Capital Drugs.
1924.
Okay.
And then it became Frenton Hats
Right.
and Nash Electric.
Right.
I think some of the folks probably remember
Sure.
that. And I bought the building at that time in 1980, 1979, no, 1980. I bought the building and we fixed it up
Yep.
the way it is now. And I opened the restaurant and expanded a little bit, and then I can't expand anymore, and so this is it. And I wanted to have some more free time.
Yep.
I went back to school,
Good for you, Al.
so I'm doing fine.
Okay, let's take a look back. Let's go back into politics a little bit. I think one of the most interesting scenarios took place at the last city council election of city council president.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and I guess there was some name calling and some. I don't want to use the word name calling. Some bad feelings. No bad
no
feelings?
bad feelings. No,
Okay.
I think this city council works very well together.
And how?
I personally believe,
Okay.
and I know what you want to get.
Right?
I personally believe that every city council should have the opportunity to be president of the city council.
Well, yeah,
Because it gives you an opportunity to leadership. It gives you a different perspective of
Right.
being there.
Well, John Medeiros, did he not recommend that idea of a rotating city council president years
but
ago?
that was never accepted.
Well, is that not the same case? If you wish to be city council president, basically you have to earn the votes of at least 5 other members.
Right.
Okay, so what's the difference between a guy running for mayor and or city councilor?
And
but
that's
you
why I
suggesting
think
we should have a rotating city council president.
No, I would hope that some type of a system. I don't like, and I said publicly, I don't know if you remember, I don't like the election
what I
of
mean.
president. I don't like the election of president of the city council.
Why?
Because it's too divisive, it's too
Well, that's part of the system.
It is, and I accept it. I've been through the process. I ran for president a couple of times, and I know that is the process. However, I do think that an opportunity should be given to all councilors to, at some time in their career, because most of us, that will be our only career in politics, to have the opportunity to show our leadership qualities as leader of the city council, as president of the city council. That doesn't happen in our system. We did it this past year. There were 5 votes. Then there were 5 other votes. They wanted to go with somebody else, and with the vice president at the time, Joe Camara, and that was it. And we have every right to do that.
And how is your relationship with city council president Joe Camara?
Very well. We do very well. I work with all my colleagues. I got along with all my colleagues. I have absolutely no problem. I got along very well with this administration. I worked very hard with this administration. I am not ashamed to say.
Well,
I have supported many things the administration have done.
I would think if you
So,
look
and,
at
and I also have voted against a lot of things
well,
that
no,
I don't like.
I would think.
So-
I would think if someone, on the sidelines would analyze Al Alves, they would say, "You're a close ally of the mayor." Is that a
Oh,
fair
yeah.
statement?
Oh, it's fair. It's
That's a
fair
fair
to say,
statement.
yeah.
And you work closely with the administration.
There are certain things the administration has done that I agree, that I am very supportive. And
What do you disagree with?
oh, I disagree in a lot of things. I disagree with the BFI, for example, the way it's being
You
handled.
feel there should be more negotiation?
Absolutely. I disagree. For example, I disagree completely with the issue of the nude dancing, for example.
Yeah, but
Not that I want nude dancing for real.
I know.
And I voted against the mayor's when there was the driveway that the mayor didn't want it the
now
driveway.
let me ask you a question. I think most people agree with you on the new dancer, but listen, if someone had simply said, look, the Supreme Court has...
Yes, that's my point.
The
You're gonna hit my point.
Supreme Court has okayed it. No one likes it. The more we fight it, the more opportunity to lose a lawsuit. The system goes on. But Mr. Viveres is definitely going to keep this going until he either wins his way or becomes a rich man via the lawsuits. Why didn't they simply say, look, we disagree with it, our hands are tied, we have to accept it, and if it would have been accepted, who knows what would have happened. In retrospect, Al, would have you approved of the initial idea? In retrospect.
In retrospect, yes.
Okay, but you can't, in retrospect, that's what life is not all about.
No, obviously not. Let me tell you how I feel about it.
Okay.
I think when the Supreme Court says that you have the right, that your First Amendment right, the freedom of expression, to dance nude on top of this table, and the public has the right to come in and watch and pay to watch it, I think it's ridiculous. I don't agree with that. Okay? However, the moment the Supreme Court says that is your constitutional right, it is useless, it is crazy, it makes no sense to fight it, because all you're going to do is spend money and lose money. Okay? And I disagree with the mayor on this. Openly, I've talked to him about it, and I disagree with him. that is not saying that I'm advocating that new density comes to the city. I voted for a zoning because, why? Because if you don't vote for a zoning, you have the entire city. The TA, for example, could go downtown and ask for a license and get a license to have new density.
But I
That
know
is exactly what I think.
you built, your restaurant has been built on good food, good service.
Yes, but what I'm saying, I don't want to bring back the restaurant. That's not the point. The point is that if we don't have a zone, if we don't have a designated area in the city, and that I agree with the mayor, and I voted for that, we would be, the entire city would be open up for anyone to come in, any bar, any restaurant to come in and ask for a license to have new dancing. That is the reason why I think it was important to have a zoning. Now we're being sued because they think that's unconstitutional, because it's not enough space, so forth and so on.
Okay, now let's go back to an old subject. I know I have to ask you about it. I was very disappointed, Al, very disappointed in a city council resolution sponsored by Councilor Pelletier to advocate slot machines. It passed 9-zip. It was about 6 months ago.
To advocate
To
slot
introduce
machines?
slot machines into the state of Massachusetts.
Oh,
Why? Why, Al? Why would you want to
I-
bring slot machines into the city?
first of all, let me tell you something. I have absolutely, you know this, I have absolutely nothing against gambling.
Either
I
do
don't
I.
gamble.
Either do I.
Okay. And I don't have absolutely nothing wrong with bringing to my community gambling. The city of Fall River spends on gambling every year approximately $44 million
Right.
on the state lottery. Just the city of Fall River alone. We send for everybody up there
$500 per person, roughly.
roughly. So I do think gambling is out there.
Okay.
People want to gamble.
Okay, let me give
And
you.
I have absolutely no objection that gambling be controlled and be legal.
Okay, let me give you a figure. If the city gets back $18 million a year in gambling from this lottery commission, why would you jeopardize the income?
No,
Now, wait a
no.
minute. Why would you jeopardize the income from the lottery by putting slot machines in that would reduce the amount of money that would come into this community because the lottery would suffer from the people again? There's only so many gambling dollars. You understand the point?
I understand perfectly what
Why
you're saying.
would you do that? Without any
Because,
discussion.
well, first of all, there is the assumption that if the state of Massachusetts were to legalize gambling, or to have a casino somewhere, that automatically people would not be playing the lottery
Yep.
from the state. And
Okay.
therefore, the state will lose revenue. The state would not lose revenues because the state of Connecticut is making millions and millions of dollars from gambling revenue. So that's
listen,
another show.
That's another time. Al, let me thank you for coming here this evening on
It
short
was a
notice.
pleasure to be here with
It's
you.
a
I
pleasure
hope
to see you. We've
that
had.
everybody understood what I was trying to say.
I
and,
think they have. I think they understand, Al. They know where you're coming from. You tell it like it is. Sometimes, sometimes you're like almost. That's okay. You're Al Alves. You speak out. You've always been you've been a good citizen in this community.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for being a friend, and I think the people of Fall River want to thank you for being a good citizen.
Thank you, and I hope that everybody goes to vote. You don't like me? Don't vote for me, but go to vote.
Well, there goes it. Thank you very much. Next week we got Steve Camara coming on, a former city council president. Thank you very much. Good night, and God bless all of you.
That was well. That was fun.
Oh, we have fun.